Good morning, fourth grade. Today we're going to be talking about story problems and how to solve them. I've put together a couple of anchor charts for you to look at and to learn from and kind of help you understand this process. I know that answering story problems is difficult for a lot of people. So let's take a closer look at it and see if we can't make it a little bit easier for ourselves. So this first anchor chart that I've got here is called Problem Solving Steps. And they use the STAR method because, as you can see here, the letters start with S-T-A-R. The first step in this STAR method of problem solving is to study the question carefully. That means for you to look at the question, try to understand what it's asking you. Sometimes we get story problems wrong because we just are too big a hurry. We look at some numbers, we throw together an answer, but we really haven't study the question carefully to see what it's really asking. Second step there is to think of a plan. So in other words, after you've got the question read, you're going to think, how am I going to work this out? You're thinking of a plan. And after you get the plan figured out, then you go to step 3 and you act on your plan. Or you work the problem is another way of looking at step 3. You work the problem. And step number 4 is to reflect and check. And this is also another important step so that we just don't feel like we're in such a big hurry. We got to get this done. I can't have time to look. But you slow down and you reflect upon your answer. Take a look and see if it answers the question. Okay? This next chart I want you to look at is some, I thought is helpful because it gives us some key words that help us to understand what we're going to do with our problem. We're only going to be concerned with the top 2 sections right now, addition and subtraction. Today we're actually just going to focus on the addition keywords. But these are words that you might see in a story problem, and when you see these words you can think, oh, that word means that I should be adding. And those words are, if you look real carefully, sum, as in S-U-M, a total, more, increased by, more than, combined together, added to, perimeter, plus, and, in all, altogether, total, total of, and addend. So those are some key words that you might see in a question that will help you to know that you're supposed to add, and then you don't have to worry about any of the other functions. So we're going to take a look at a couple of story problems, and I'll show you how I would work them. So let's go. So this first question here I've got, it says, if I was doing this question, let me straighten it out a little bit. If I was working this question, I would read it, and it says, a multinational corporation has 63 part-time employees and 220 full-time employees. How many employees work for the corporation? So the first thing I want to do is I want to be clear about what is the question asking me. So I might take a look at it and go, okay, so it's talking about a multinational corporation, so that's a big business of some kind, has 63 part-time employees and 220 full-time employees. So I might underline some things or circle some parts that are important to me. I got 63 part-time and 220 full-time employees, and the question's really asking me how many employees work for the corporation. Okay, so the keyword that I'm looking for, as I look at my keywords here, is I see the word and in there. I've got 63 part-time employees and 220 full-time employees. So I'm seeing the word and in there. So that's probably going to be, I'm going to add those numbers together. So on a separate piece of paper, I take my piece of paper and I'll write it over here. 220 plus 63. And here again, and this is a good practice for me because I want to make sure that I line those digits up in the proper place value. So I've got the 3 and the 0 and the 20 and the 60 and the 200 all lined up. Now I can add that problem. So I've done this part so far. I studied the question carefully. I think of a plan. This is my plan. And now I'm going to work my plan. 3 plus 0 is 3. 2 plus 6 is 8. And 2, there's nothing to add there, so I bring it down. And my answer would be 283. So now let's see if that fits in my equation here. I'm going to slide up here and say multinational corporation has 63 part-time employees, 220 full-time employees. I added those together to find out how many employees work for that corporation, and I would put my answer in 283. Okay, so that's the first one we worked together. Now let's take a look at another one. We'll try to work it out. Okay, oops, I'm leaking through. Can you see that? Okay. Springdale Lake was originally blue because it only had 54 algae plants. Then towns and farms cropped up by the lake. This caused 259 more algae plants to grow, which turned the lake green. How many algae plants are now in Springdale? So as I look through this, I see this is really the question they want to know. That's what they want to know the answer to. Right? How many algae plants are now in Springdale Lake? So as I read through this, I see, okay, Springdale Lake was originally blue because it only had 54 algae plants. Then towns and farms cropped up by the lake. This caused 250, and look at that important word there, more. That important word there, more, because as I look on my chart, I see that word here, more. That means I'm going to be adding, so it tells me how to work the problem. So I'm going to take 54 and add it to 259. So I'm just going to work right by the side of my other problem here. And I've got 259, and I'm going to add 54, being careful to line them up in their place value. Then I go 9 plus 4, and that comes up to 13. So I put a 3 down, and since the 1 doesn't fit in the ones column, I have to carry it or regroup it up to the next one. And then I go 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 5 more is 11. So I put my 1 down, and then I have to regroup or carry the 10 up into here, and then I have 1 plus 2, and I have my answer, 313. And then I check my problem. How many algae plants are now? Well, when we had 54 before, and then we added more algae at 259, we came up with the answer of 313. Okay? So we have time for one more. Okay? So Reba painted her house using 170 gallons of white paint and 15 gallons of sea green paint. How many gallons of paint in all did Reba use? So we're looking at the words If you look real carefully right here, you can see the word in all. How many in all? That means we're going to be adding. Okay, so I look at the key things, and the question is, I'm going to underline my question. How many gallons of paint in all, there's that key word that tells me it's plus, did Reba use? So then I find out I've got 170 gallons of white paint and 115 gallons of sea green paint. So then I'm going to create my problem here and add 170 to 15. So I'm going to put 15 up here, 170 down here, making sure that I line these up properly. And I go 5 plus 0 is 5, 1 plus 7 is 8, and there's nothing to add to my 1, so I just bring it down, and my total is 185. So I put down my 185, and I've answered my question, how many gallons of paint in all? 170 plus 15 equals 185, and I put that in there. Okay, so that's just some simple steps. Now I just want to tell you that we are going to be doing some review. So for IXL on today and tomorrow, we're actually going to go into the 3rd grade and do some problems in there, just as a review and some practice to get you warmed up for 4th grade. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, we'll go back into the 4th grade IXL. So be careful and watch carefully in your assignment to see what numbers we're doing in IXL. Have a good day.